Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm just a tomato on the vine of life.
Do you have a name?
No.
Okay.
You name
This is Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and that's Derek Lemaster, by the way, that says the weirdest shit. How are you?
Do you name your tomatoes?
No, my tomatoes don't talk, Derek.
I mean, that's fair.
Bob the tomato.
Bob?
Tomato.
No, definitely wouldn't be Bob. If I were a tomato, I would definitely be Raoul, for sure.
You'd be Raoul regardless. You're all about Raoul.
Man, funny story. I went to order food sometime this week. Maybe it was like on the weekend, last weekend. And I pull up and they're like, oh, what's the name for the order? And I was like, Raoul. And she goes, how do you spell that? I'm like, it's Derek. it's Derek. And Clark goes, Dad, why do you always give him that name? So I was like, it's my alter ego, child. Sit back there.
Except you can't spell it. R-A-U-L. Raoul.
R-A-U-L. I'll try to remember that.
How do you spell it? It's Derek. God. Talk about not committing to the bit. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's so good. You crack under the smallest amount of pressure. It's Derek. All right, guys. Well, how are you, Lydia? You good?
I'm doing good, yeah.
Order any food under weird names?
Not usually, no.
No? Good. I haven't in a long time either. I used to, my go-to was Thornton. Just because it sounds so, I just like to see it written, and I like to hear somebody say, Thornton? I'm like, yes, that's me. Thornton.
I'm going to have to think about that one.
Thornton, by the way, is how you spell that, Derek.
R-A-U-L. R-A-U-L.
All right, guys, we've got a great show for you tonight. We're going to talk about Ty West's 2009 throwback thriller, The House of the Devil. Or as Derek called this particular podcast on our call, House of the D-Dog. But before we get into that, let's step into the world of horror news. So, guys, I don't have a whole lot of horror news, but I'll talk about what I do have. Let's start with this. As you know, coming up here this week, which means that we probably should have done a particular film that we didn't do. We might just postpone it a week, I guess. But it's Friday the 13th. Tomorrow is Friday the 13th, but when we're recording this. And Friday the 13th, the final chapter is returning to theaters for the 40th anniversary. Would you guys, first of all, how wild is it that movie is 40 years old?
That's insane.
I mean...
And would you guys want to go see Friday the 13th on the big screen? Part 4 on the big screen.
Yeah. Wait, part 4 is 40 years old?
Yes, part 4 is 40. 1984 is when Friday the 13th 4 came out.
I'm so old.
I know. Derek was like, I remember I was driving when Friday the 13th 4 came out. He was only one when that came out. I'm kidding. But, I mean, that's our favorite so far that we've done up to this point is Friday the 13th 4. So, maybe next week we'll have a Friday the 13th film to make up for this one. We're on part 5. We'll find out at the end of this episode, so stay tuned. You know what would be great news for tomorrow is if they announce a new fucking Jason movie or something. I mean, we have Crystal Lake happening, but come on, man. Give us a new Jason.
You're just wasting money. Not wasting money, but like, you're not
wasting time.
Earning the money you could.
Actually, we've already talked about this. Never mind. But there is a cool Roddy Piper figure for They Live. You guys want to see it?
Oh yeah.
I'm just going to show it because it looks pretty cool.
Have we done that one yet?
We have not done They Live. What do you think?
Love
It looks badass.
It does.
Looks
it looks
fucking
legit.
great, right?
Yeah.
And I'd love that.
Look at his shirt and his belt. Like, that's all, like, super detailed.
Yeah, and it looks just like him.
It really does.
It really does.
Yeah. We have to do They Live. It's a good one. So this next bit is Damien Bashir has joined the cast of The Black Phone 2. So this thing is in casting now, guys. It is in theaters October 17th, 2025. Scott Dickerson and Robert Cargill are writing, with Dickerson directing. And the returning cast is Ethan Hawke as the Grabber, Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, Jeremy Davis, and Miguel Mora. We still don't have any plot on this, but we know that it is casting, and you'll know this fellow from one of the... he is the priest in the first Nun movie. I'll show you a picture of him. You'll recognize him. There he is, actually from The Nun.
Mm-hmm.
No idea who he's playing, no words. Are you guys excited for The Black Phone 2, or do you think they should have just left it alone?
Definitely curious.
Yeah, hindsight is always 20. I think they should have left it alone. I'm curious to see what kind of story they can come up with to continue it with the characters, specifically Ethan Hawke's. So we'll see. You know.
Yeah, the first one was a really good time. We really liked that one. We all gave it high marks. Here's another film we did, guys. Salem's Lot has released a new trailer, and it has a release date of October 3rd, 2024. Now, guys, we all watched this trailer before we got on here. What are your guys' thoughts?
I liked it.
Yeah, I think it looks very promising.
Mm-hmm.
I do, too. I think it looks great. I think the cinematography is amazing on it. I think it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
I like the cast, and I'm excited to see, see how it plays out. Because I think it looks promising as well. Looks suitably scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Suitably modern horror. But it looks pretty intense, and it's not, the miniseries was long. It's long. And we enjoyed it for what it was, but it's also very slow moving. So this one, I'm guessing they're just going to have to pick up the pace. Are you guys excited for it more now than you were before we saw footage?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the little taste of the things that you need, like the shot through the window and the shot of the house, and you're like, ooh, okay, and like the shot of that like corpse sitting up. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to see it with my own eyes.
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of has like a It aesthetic. I feel like new It feels kind of like that a little bit. The original had
the bass drops were like definitely such a modern stamp.
That's such that's a modern trailer trope. Yeah.
So that's the only thing that would be like any concern is like, oh no.
I don't think that's the actual score. No.
Okay, good.
But I do think that it definitely looks like a modern horror film, and that could be a good thing or a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely doesn't look like the 70s, which the original was, and it's kind of wild that we've only had 2 adaptions of Salem's Lot. We've had the Tobe Hooper one that we covered, and then there's one starring Rob Lowe in like the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And
which
also
I just
a TV
found
miniseries.
at my local thrift store.
Yeah, which is like also a made-for-TV miniseries. So it's kind of wild that we are just now getting a Salem's Lot story because it's such a cinematic story. You'd think we would have gotten it already,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could argue it's more cinematic than something like Cujo.
I was going to say Cujo, yeah, for sure.
But, I mean, Cujo's a great film. We'll have to do it eventually. Some D. Wallace. Speaking of D. Wallace, that wraps up the horror news. And let's talk about Ty West's The House of the Devil. So, guys, have either of you seen this before?
Nope.
Have either of you heard of this before?
Yes.
Nope.
Okay. What was your familiarity with it, Lydia?
I vaguely remember it coming out, and I have seen the
poster
cover art. Yeah, like the poster so many times looking through horror movies where I'm like kind of doom scrolling through all the horror movies and then end up not picking anything.
And then you're like, Halloween 4. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, yes.
The one I've seen 500 times.
Yes, exactly.
Happens to the best of us. I did that actually. True story. I did that the other day. I was scrolling through and I was like, oh, I want to watch like a new horror movie. And then I literally picked Halloween 4. I was like, because I was like, I watch Halloween when it feels right, and I watch it on 4K. I was just like, oh, Halloween 4, that sounds good. I needed something to doze off to. This puts me in the fall vibes.
Yes.
So this is not my first time watching this movie. It's actually my second one. I remember it coming out too. I remember it around the time. And I've heard about it multiple times. I'd heard people talk about it in passing. I actually remember... Excuse me. I actually remember listening to an episode of The Movie Crypt with Ty West's episode, and they touch on the House of the Devil and the Innkeepers. And I wasn't like overly familiar with Ty West's stuff, So I think it was last year or the year before, I just was scrolling through Shudder and saw the House of the Devil, and I was like, you know what? I've heard stuff about this. I'm kind of in the mood for something new that I haven't seen yet, and something, I didn't know much about it. I just knew Ty West, so I was like, I'll give it a shot. And so yeah, it's my second time watching it, and this movie is definitely a vibe. This is one of those vibe films, much like all of Ty West's movies. I think are vibe movies, to a degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
So where do you guys want to start with this? Let's start with the performances, I guess, because I think they're uniformly pretty great. Derek, you're muted.
Dang, starting off strong.
It was a small cast, and I think that does really help. But you're right; they all did a really good job.
Yeah, especially our lead, Jacqueline Donahue, is just great in this, right? Sam.
Mm-hmm.
You have the great Tom Noonan as Mr. Ullman, who's always creepy in everything he's in, right? It's always creepy. He is the red, he's the Tooth Fairy. He's the Red Dragon. In Michael Mann's Manhunter. And then Mary Warrenoff plays Mrs. Ullman. We see Dee Wallace in there as the landlady, and then the BJ or AJ Bowen as the son, Victor, and then we have Greta Gerwig as Megan, whom, guys, I think is so fucking good in this movie. I'm like, not gonna lie, I'm kind of in love with her. I'm kind of in love with Megan. Like,
I can
just
see that.
Her performance is so good. Like all of her mannerisms, the way she acts this things out, the way even her eating a pizza is so funny. I was like, she's fucking great.
Yeah.
What are you guys' thoughts?
Go ahead, Lydia.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I agree. I thought that she did a really great job, and she really conveyed like you have a lot of empathy for her. She's kind of in a tough spot in
Who
life.
are we talking about? Sam?
Yeah, the main actress.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
She's
I was
kind of
talking about Megan. Is who I was talking about. Her best friend,
Oh,
Greta Gerwig. Yeah, I think she's hilarious.
I mean, she is. I dude her, but I don't want to jump too far.
Yeah,
I don't think we have a format.
Yeah.
That was probably the most shocking scene I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
it is really good. It came out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, it's good.
It was pretty crazy. I thought you were. I don't know the actual people's names, so when you said that, I was like, oh, I must be talking about the main character.
No, I love her too. She's great.
She was a lot of fun too. Actually, I thought she was pregnant. She started eating the pizza in the pizza restaurant, and she goes, "Oh, this tastes weird," and I was like, "Oh, she's probably pregnant." They never.
That's
To
interesting.
that again, but anyway,
no,
it's a weird thought I had whenever it happened.
It is because it was. I saw it as a setup for later when her pizza's poisoned.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean it's a different pizza restaurant, right?
It is, but I think it was just to draw attention to the pizza. So Sam, is in definitely a tough spot. With she's trying to, because her roommate sucks.
Yeah, she does.
She needs to get out of campus. She needs her own place, but she needs money to pay for it. She doesn't really have it, but she shows up anyway. And so when she finds that flyer for, which by the way, the 70s and early 80s were a wild time, guys.
Yeah.
When you just somebody's phone number on the goddamn on a flyer, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go watch your kids. Yeah. And then also the people to be like, yeah, we just need anybody to watch our kid. Like, obviously we know that's not the case, but just that was a thing. Isn't that hilarious?
It's insane. It's insane.
It really is insane, man.
There's no way I would go to that house.
People wouldn't even do that to their dogs, let alone their kids.
Yeah. So I want to talk about a little bit the vibe of this movie, because the cinematography, because I fucking love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because this movie was set in what, the 70s, 80s, something like that.
Late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, I think it's 1980. Yeah.
There was
it just says the 1980s.
Scene. Yeah, there was an outside scene.
Yeah.
And they fucking nailed the 70s camera pan. I was like, that is such an 80s shot to do it. It looked great when it did it.
Yeah, they do locked off. They do a lot of locked off shots where we're on sticks. So we just, we do the tilt pan zooms. So the Steadicam, which I love. I love those just like kind of locked off shots, especially when she's outside of the school and she's sitting on the steps waiting for him and she's laying down. That I was like, oh my God, I forgot how much I love this, because it's also the titles, when the titles come up, and they freeze frame on each one. I'm just like, oh,
this is art, guys. This is art.
It is. And the excuse me, and also the freaking just the look of the cinematography, like the look of the film, the way they shot it. I don't know if it was shot on film. Probably not. It's 2009.
It is. It was shot on film.
Was it shot on film?
Yep.
Because it looks like it's shot on film. It looks beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, I just love the look of this. Yeah, it was shot on 16 millimeter. So that's why it has that look it has.
Yep.
So yeah, I love the look of it and the vibes of it. And it's a super slow burn, this movie.
It is. It is. And I don't think that it does it in a bad way.
No,
yeah, it's in the best way possible.
Yeah.
I agree. Because you're kind of in, like you just kind of, you like this character, so you're in. You're like, oh, yeah. And you like the way it's shot and just the beauty of it. I was like, yeah, I'd hang out in this world for a while. This is cool, I'd watch this for 3 hours. It's so beautiful.
It's a very simple thing that they are setting up, and the payoffs don't really happen until the end. But you're right. Yeah, it for being a slow movie, you don't regret it being a slow movie.
No, the tension builds at the right pace, I think.
Yeah, I mean this lands like right in that like perfect horror formula. You know, like it checks every box. It's
yeah,
cool.
I mean we don't really get our first like creepiness. Like there's no scares, no creepiness until she goes to the house. All of the stuff with her hanging out with Megan, all the stuff with her in the school. There's no like. I mean, the only creepiness is the phone calls, which, guys, I'm just gonna be honest, fucking major red flags.
Yeah,
like he sounds like a creep because it's Tom Noonan and that's what he does. But it's like, no, man.
Dude, was he in the Last Action Hero?
I don't know if Tom Noonan's in the Last Action Hero. He might be. Yes, he plays the axe murderer guy.
Yeah. Sorry,
I
don't remember
that he played Frankenstein in the Monster Squad.
He does, yes.
And I was like, yeah.
Yep. And he's Francis Dellerhyde. He's Francis Dellerhyde in Michael Mann's Manhunter.
Yes. And that shot of him when the girls are at the door and he opens the door and he's just like lurch.
Yeah, I know. He's like he's super tall and just slender, and he has the cane and everything. And like Megan stays, and first of all, there's just so many little things I love about this movie. I love the way their conversation in the car is shot. I love it being shot from the back seat with coverage of each of them. Mm-hmm. Cutting every so often, just at the beginning of the scene, to the front seat so we get the geography. I love that. Ty West edited this, by the way, as well.
Nice.
He kind of does. He does what I do, which is we edit our own stuff. We shoot it and then we cut it. But yeah, because he feels it, he knows it. It's there, and it's so like I love those backseat shots. As I was watching, I was like, oh man, like
you feel like
cinema.
You're there.
It's cinema. So like the fact that Megan is like just not about it. Like she shows up, she sees they're fucking weird, and she's like, and then she tells her, oh, actually, you need to watch my wife's mom, who is upstairs and is an invalid, but she can get around. But she just we need somebody here, and Megan did the correct thing, which is, all right, well, I'm outing 5,000. Yeah. Which they both should have done, obviously. In real life, that's what we would have done, right?
But
yeah,
$400. That's
I know,
a lot of money.
I know.
It is a lot of money, especially in the 80s.
Yeah, because that would have covered her deposit or her first month's rent, whatever she needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah, would have solved her problems at that time.
Which, by the way, when he was like, "Hey, I can only pay one of you guys because it was $100," and then he's like, "200." No, then she says 400.
400. Right? Yeah.
I mean that would have been a red flag for me. Been like, well, I mean, you said you couldn't pay both of us.
Yeah.
And now you just magically have fucking $400.
Yeah. And then. Also, a little detail that I love is how he keeps mentioning the pizza. He mentions it like 4 times.
Yes.
And the one time he covers himself with, oh, I already mentioned that, didn't I? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing. Because he's trying to be like the sweet old man. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm so frazzled today. And then as he's leaving, he says, don't, the number for the pizza's on the fridge. As he's leaving the house. And, I was like, don't eat that pizza, man. I'm already feeling it. I'd have been like, no, I'll call somewhere else. Yeah. But me, I would have been like, don't worry, I have Pizza King on speed dial, my guy. I'm gonna call it Pizza King. So I love that little detail his wife. So it's funny. He's creepy, but also like tries to be like charming and aloof. You kind of are like, it would be interesting if they weren't evil. You know what I mean? Like you kind of are expecting them to be because it's a horror movie. But you're also like, what if not? He's nice. Then his wife comes in and she's fucking a batshit lunatic immediately, and you're like, nope, they're bad news.
Yeah, like a straight up
she gives it away.
Cartoon woman.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
With a black fur coat and black earrings and black hair and like just the scariest wardrobe.
Yeah, just everything.
Which I was kind of like, I strive for that a little bit in my own life, but
It cracks me up because she's just like immediately starts like flirting with her, and you're like, yeah, that's a bad touch, stranger danger. And then I mean, when Megan dies, is like, I remember the first time I watched it, I was shocked. I thought maybe some more would happen, but yeah. I mean, first of all, I don't know why she decided to pull into that cemetery. I mean, she does it extensively to light the cigarette, but she could have driven down the road and done that, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But they needed a reason for her to pull over, so I get it. But so did this blow? So obviously this shocked both of you guys, right?
It did. You do expect it, but first off, like you roll your window down and somebody like puts a flame in your face. I've been there, done that. Don't trust that person. Who just reaches into somebody's car with a lighter and be like, "Here, you want a light?"
Yeah, she was kind of like, she was scared, but like
she was
way
but
too
I would have
casual.
like, I know. Well, she was like, "Oh, you scared me. I almost died."
Well, she really wasn't. She was on like, she was on alert because
yeah, I wouldn't have taken a light from that guy. I'd have been like, "Hey,
no, I would have fucking immediately drove away."
Uh-huh.
But she was, because when he's like, "Oh, it's cold out here," and she's like, "Okay, like I'm not letting you in my fucking car," which is where you think it's gonna go.
I was thinking like, this guy's a ghost for sure.
Oh, is that what you were thinking?
It's like you pull over in a cemetery and there's just like a guy. Suddenly, I'm like,
I will say that the speed at which he realizes that it's not the babysitter, and then just like blows her head off. I was like, what the? It caught me off guard.
Yeah.
It was so out of the blue.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I did the same thing when I watched it, because I was like, first of all, I was in love with Megan, so I was devastated to see her go. But I was also just like, I'm like, oh, the tension's there. I'm wondering what's going to happen. And then she just goes, he's just like, "You're not the babysitter?" "No, I'm not the babysitter." Boom! I was like, oh my God. Well, that's that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That's that. So yeah, that's a good one. And then we get like, I love that after we get that shock and we know she's in danger, we just get more scenes of her vibing throughout the house. And like just, I love the scene where she's listening to her Walkman and dancing.
Yeah.
It's great. It's so great. Because she's not a care in the world, just, I'm like, oh man, to be young. And then when she starts to piece shit together, like it's funny to me that she just doesn't go into that room at all. She's just like, she respects the boundaries. Fuck that,
Mm-hmm.
I'd have been like, I need to see what's going on here. But
no way would you walk in that room.
I would have.
You would open that door?
I wouldn't have walked in. I would have peeked in, opened it, peeked in. Especially when she heard
I'm with you, Lydia. I don't think I would have either.
When she heard the noise, sounded like somebody fell up there. I would have.
I mean, if it sounded like somebody fell because she was an elderly person, I can see that.
Yeah. So I would have definitely peeked in there and been like, knocked, "Are you okay?" Opened it and then saw the whole family murdered. And I'd be like, "Nope, I'm out." I'm out, you 5,000. So when you guys saw that, so first of all, when she pieces together with she sees the
pictures, the fur.
Pictures.
Yeah,
she's like, huh, this is all weird, and grabs the knife because she's like creeped out. When you guys saw what'd you think when you saw the old sacrificial people?
It's a little boy, man.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely freaky. I was stressed like pretty much the whole time she was dancing around, and then she like, I'm just like, it's like one of those things where I'm like, I would have handled all of this so differently. I feel like.
Yeah.
But because I've house sat before, and I'm like, I was going back on my experience of house sitting this one time for someone who had never been to their house before. And their son was in the house asleep already. So I was just sitting like overnight kind of. And I was like, I am not leaving this room. Like I did not like snoop around. I would be like such a snoop and like looking everywhere and stuff, but like this house that I'd never been in, hell no.
Now, like I wouldn't have snooped through the drawers and stuff, necessarily, but
exploring room to room,
yeah,
like get a
make
glimpse
sure there's
of
nobody
someone's
there.
life.
I 100% would have I would walk out of your room, make sure there's nobody there. So did you guys pick up on the pizza after she delivered it? Do you think
Yeah.
it was
Oh
poison?
yeah, definitely.
Oh, it had to be
it
because it was that dude.
was obvious
Yes,
that it had to be.
Yeah.
That guy.
Derek, for crying out loud.
What happened?
We heard that duck ass fart.
What?
Good lord! He pretends like nothing comes. Whack. Good heavens!
I don't know.
So where were we? It was so
We're talking
obvious
about the pizza.
that pizza was tainted.
Oh yes. Okay, so I have a question. What else is that guy in? Because he did look really familiar to me.
He's in quite a few things. He's in, I think, You're Next. Or no, Ready or Not.
Ready or Not. Okay, yes, I do.
Isn't it Ready or Not?
It's one of those for sure. Yeah.
He's in Hatchet 2, of course.
Like he's
in Hatchet. He's in Hatchet 2 as Leighton.
Oh my
Remember
God.
the one that's having sex with the headless chick?
Yep.
Oh my God! Yes. Okay.
Yep. And he's in Your Next. He's in Your Next. He's the husband in Your Next, or the boyfriend in Your Next.
Yes, the fiance.
Yep. And then he's in a ton of other things, obviously. But yeah, that's the one. That's the two that we recognize him from. Is Hatchet 2 and Your Next.
Nice. Very cool.
Yep.
Okay, well, now that that's out of the way. Yeah, it was
Now
pretty obvious that the pizza was poisoned.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was, like, I remember watching it the first time, and when he mentions the pizza, like, the phone number of the pizza, I was like, that's fucking bad juju. Something's wrong with that phone number. So either she's going to call it and it's going to be tainted, or she's going to call it and she's going to be like, that's not the address of this house, or some fucking crazy, she's going to find out something.
It's the formula.
And once he grabs I love the shot of her just running and grabbing the pizza and slamming the door. I think it's really funny.
Oh my gosh.
And I love it. He's just like, okay. It would have been even funny if it was a real pizza guy and he's just like, what the fuck?
He's so creepy that he just like
Yes.
is like, all right, well, I'll just go stand over here and like peek in
Smoke
the window
a cigarette,
and smoke.
Look
and...
up at the.
He's just waiting.
Look up at the eclipse.
Do you guys want to hear the thoughts of a fat person after that scene happened?
Sure.
Well, that was quite a delay. I don't know that you really do. I was thinking, man, she just tipped that pizza upside down. She fucking ruined it.
Yeah.
No.
Or sideways.
Because here's the thing.
Vertical.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. When she opened that pizza, it looked fucking disgusting. Like, it looked dry
like it was
and
smush.
cold. No,
Yeah,
it looked dry and cold. And I was
I'm not
like,
going to lie. It made me want pizza. I might order
I was
pizza for
eating
lunch
pizza.
tomorrow. Oh, were you?
I was eating pizza.
I get paid tomorrow.
Guys.
I'm ordering pizza for lunch tomorrow.
I haven't had pizza in forever. I'm just
your
kidding.
name.
I actually had it early. I had it earlier this week.
It's been at least 72 hours forever, guys.
I really
Actually, I had it 2 days in a row. I had it for dinner and then leftovers for lunch the next day.
I
Because
love
that's what
leftover
you do
pizza.
when you're a working person.
We had a
All
Philly
right, I'm having
cheesesteak
pizza tomorrow.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I had just a pepperoni pizza. There's nothing like a good slice. What I do love is I was putting myself in the position of, how, I love the vibe of house setting or babysitting or something, or alone in the house. You order a pizza. I was like, man, I could feel that. That sounds like it's pretty legit. Dude,
time. I'm gonna
You
build
can
a
come
time
dog
machine.
sit for us.
and go back and. I never got to house sit for anybody because everybody I knew they were poor. So
That's not true. That's not true. You house sit with me.
I mean, I get in college. I get you were house sitting. I guess. Okay, that's like the one.
Yeah,
like the one time.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I take it back. But still, I'm gonna build a time machine and go back in time.
I'm cool with that.
I'm a professional house sitter.
Oh, cool. You get paid to do it all the time?
I used to.
Oh.
I watched my friend's house and her dogs while she was on vacation one time, and I just like binge watched Doctor Who and just like hung out with dogs and ate.
Nice. I'll tell you about my house sitting story at the end of this.
Okay.
But
it's spooky. At least one of them.
Ooh.
So, when the third act of this thing hits, it kind of happens real fast. I mean, it escalates really quickly. What do you guys think of that?
Tragic. It's tragic, man. Because that pizza does her in.
Pacing of it and everything, yeah.
I mean, it really does. When it picks up, it picks up. Because after that pizza scene, she gets drugged, and then she is tied down, and whoever made those knots is a amateur. Let me tell you. When I put people in a basement and I tie them down, they don't get the fuck up.
Okay. Okay. Now we're disturbed.
But no, it really does pick up because it goes from like, I don't know, 20 miles an hour to a cool 75. It's the best analogy I can give.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good analogy. I like it. Yeah, I mean, I like it too. The like, there's that creepy looking demon guy. Who pours the stuff on her belly.
Was it Grandma?
Yeah, pours the stuff on the belly. And then after she escapes, she just pretty much fucks shit up.
Yes, she does.
And you're just waiting for it. You're wanting it so bad. Because
she stabs Grandpa.
Yep.
She stabs him, and then she runs up the stairs.
Yep. She kills old Henry from that one movie. I'm just throwing names out there now.
What are you talking about? Did you just have a mini stroke?
No, I didn't have a mini stroke. I'm bad with names.
Okay.
Anyway, the pizza guy. We'll just call him Pizza Guy. So
it's Victor's his name, by the way, Victor.
Yeah, Pizza Guy. So she slashes his throat, and then
she does.
Yeah, that chase scene's pretty good too.
After he shoots her.
After he shoots her, yeah.
Yeah, she pokes his eye out first, so, did she deserve it? Did she not deserve it? I don't know.
Well, of course she didn't deserve it, Derek. She was just...
She poked his eye out, man!
With the devil.
During the eclipse, the lunar eclipse.
I love that, I love the way that chase unfolds, because he just shoots her. And you're like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And then she just slices his throat.
Real quick.
And then she stupidly leaves the gun there, which I was like, dude, I would have grabbed that gun immediately, and old lady's running up the stairs, she would have got fucking head tagged immediately. Bam! Goodbye, Grandma. But I love that scene because, Grandma throws, and she's like, you will give up, blah, doing her little speech, and then starts staring at the at the eclipse and takes off her wig, and we see her weird hair. And then she just stabs her right in the back.
She's like, talk to me, Lord. Talk to me.
Yep. And then, and then she, goes and has a showdown with old Tom Noonan again, who's like fucked up from a stab wound. he's all messed up. What do you guys think of the ending of this thing?
I think I mentioned it earlier. It's tragic, man. So she does really the only thing that she can. She's impregnated with, anti-Jesus, and the one thing she can do, she shoots herself. Tragic.
Yeah, she shot herself in the stomach.
I know. I was thinking that same thing. I mean, to her, I'm sure she's like, okay, well, I'm kind of in a bad place here. So, but then she lives, which I don't know how that happened. Must be the healing properties
it
of.
Happens.
Yeah, it does happen. Yeah.
What's his face? Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But she did it, and I don't want to go too much, but anyway, yeah.
It's graphic. It doesn't seem
it is
possible,
very graphic,
but there's something about it because on the news they're talking about something about the eclipse sped up at the end.
Yeah,
it was unusual, and science couldn't figure it out.
Yeah,
and I'm
it
like,
ended quickly.
Well, that has something to do with her doing that, I think.
Yeah, so you could take it as, and that's the thing, it's open to interpretation, right? So you could take it as when the healing. I don't know that the devil made her survive or whatever, and that she has a demon baby, or you could take it as she's been pregnant this whole time, and excuse me, she's been pregnant this whole time, and once she shot herself, it ended whatever was happening. That's why it sped up, because the eclipse ended.
Yeah, that's true.
The power was.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I was just like, well, whatever.
But the nurse who comes in says you're both safe now.
Yeah, you're both safe. Yeah, that's what I mean. Who knows? We don't know. There's so many. We're supposed to be left with questions.
Right.
And that spooky feeling of the devil's out there, maybe.
It definitely wasn't a happy feeling.
No, it didn't sound like
there was no happy part of this movie.
I don't agree. I think the full first act is a very happy and vibey and funny.
Oh, I mean, it's vibey and it's funny, but I wouldn't have described it as. It was optimistic.
Yeah,
at first.
And I think that it has humor throughout it too. It's not like a humorless movie. Yeah, it's not a humorless movie.
And the girl you're in love with, I thought she was a good little comic relief through some of this.
Yeah,
I love
great.
when she's alone in that room and she eats the candy and it's gross.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm going to try another piece.
That's the funniest. That's my favorite. I'm like, fuck it. Her performance on it is so amazing. Greta Gerwig, by the way, is the director of the Barbie movie. She would go on to direct a movie that grossed $1 billion. Yes. Yes.
Good for her. Didn't know that.
Yes. But yeah, she's great in this movie. So that's House of the Devil, guys. What are your thoughts?
It's definitely an interesting one because, man, that ending was just such a downer that I'm like, I don't, I wasn't left yeah, that was good. The beginning was so strong, and the action was good, and then the end really just devastated me.
Yes.
So I was like, man, I don't really know what to rate this one. What do you guys think?
What do you think, Derek?
I think the formula was so good, though. I think every piece of it, down to the littlest details, were really spectacular. The wardrobes, the time period was nailed. Absolutely nailed it.
I will say this: there is a simple movie can go a couple of ways, right? Because this is a fairly simple movie. It didn't seem overly complex. There weren't a lot of different locations. The cast was small, and that can either hurt you or it can help. I think it really helped them. I mean, obviously, we know what the director has done, and so he knew what he was doing on this. And dear Lord, can you guys hear that?
Yeah, what is that?
It's my work computer. People are messaging. Sorry about that. So anyway, there is a great. Man, I'm completely lost now. I'm just gonna give this movie a rating. I liked it a lot.
Okay.
It was probably the best slow movie I've ever watched, if that makes any sense. Because there's not a lot that happens in this movie until the very end. And then it just shoots off like a rocket. So you easily could lose an audience with as slow as the movie was, but that needed that to build up to the climax. So I'm going to give this movie, I don't want to go too, I hate rating movies. Have I ever told you guys that? I hate rating movies. I'm going to give this movie a 7.79.
Okay. But you hate Fractions, I thought.
Dude, I love Fractions.
He does remember last week when he said that.
What are you talking about? They're amazing.
All right, Lydia.
I think I'm going to give it an 8. I think it's a solid 8.
Yeah. I'm right there with you guys. I'm also going to give it an 8. I dig this movie. Like, I was like, this will be a fun one that we haven't seen, that I don't know, that they haven't seen, and I've only watched it once, and I remember it being dark, but I remember it being like just gorgeous too and fun. And once I rewatched it, I was like, oh yeah, I love just the whole feeling of the movie and the setting and the look of it. I'm like, man, I'd want to make a movie like this one day. It's so gorgeous, So yeah, an 8 for me as well. Good time. All right, guys. Now it's time to Atkinize this bad boy.
Thrill me.
Who would our hero Tom Atkins play in this one?
The guy in the bed with her roommate.
Nice.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. Of course. He'd be drinking a Miller while he's in there and gives her that nod.
And then she would have went over there.
Yeah, there would have just been a cut, and then she would have been like buttoning up her shirt.
Smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, she's walking out of the room. Oh, Tom.
Oh, Tom.
You sex cat.
Tomcat.
Tomcat. Rawr. All right. Whose turn is it to pick?
Lydia.
It's mine. Let's do the others. I want to do the others.
Do
Okay.
it.
I've been wanting to pick it for so long, guys. I'm sorry. I just want to watch it.
Then do it. I'm game.
It's a spooky one.
It is.
The Others is streaming on Amazon Prime, Google Play, Fandango, YouTube, and Apple TV. Derek, do you have a story for us? I know I have one if you don't.
Go with yours, and I'll see if I can...
Okay. Well, mine fits with this because it's a house setting story. Back in, when I was younger, my friend, my cousin, or my drummer, they used to take a family vacation to Florida every year. So for like 3 summers in a row, I house set for them for that week that they were gone. So I would just live at their house, and they'd buy food for me. So I had food, and I could just make whatever I wanted. I could just hang, my work schedule, I was working retail, so I just worked odd hours so I can come and go as I pleased, and it's pretty great. I could use the hot tub. I can do all these. They had a hot tub that I could use. So it was a lot of fun. And then we, of course, had in the basement was all of our band equipment where we would jam. So it was like a home away from home. It was the greatest. So, but here's the rub: is that house was incredibly haunted. If you believe in hauntings, it was definitely there was something to it. So, I remember, because we heard tons of things. There's tons of stories about what they witnessed and stuff. But the only things that I personally witnessed were as follows. One, we were downstairs jamming one night, and my amp it was during the day. We were down there jamming, and my amp had to pick up some kind of interference, but it definitely said "Ride the White Horse." Is what it said. It just said that, "Ride the White Horse." And I looked over at Justin, and I was like, "Did you just hear my amp say "Ride the White Horse"?" He said, "Yeah." I was like, "Weird." So then I went home and wrote a song called "Pale Rider." So that gave me the influence of that. But so that was kind of spooky and weird. But there's just certain rooms in the house and certain times where you just feel like, you know what I mean? I'm getting goosebumps thinking. You feel like the presence of somebody there, like somebody watching you. You know what I mean? Derek, you're muted, by the way, if you're trying to talk to us this whole time.
It wasn't the whole time. I was just agreeing with you, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. You could feel like somebody watching you. You know what I mean? So when I was there by myself, like Justin said, you can sleep upstairs in my room if you want, in my bed. His sister Kaylee was like, you can stay upstairs in my bed. I slept on the couch, and I had a blow up, like one of the blow up mattresses that I had down there as well. That when Derek stayed, that's where he slept, because I remember my first night there, I was, downstairs, stayed in the living room because that felt like the safest place. Upstairs felt creepy because back in the very back room, somebody had unalived themselves back a long time ago, and there's some weird vibes back there. And so I only went upstairs to feed the rabbits during the day. Feed the rabbits, give them water, and be like, "Oh, you guys okay? All right." Oh. Back downstairs, and then didn't go back upstairs the rest of the time. But there was no like barrier. There wasn't like a door or anything. It just was a stairway. But I remember I turned on the TV and Child's Play was on, and I decided to watch Child's Play because, of course, what am I going to watch when I'm house sitting alone in a house that's spooky and I feel like it's haunted? Is a horror movie, because I'm me, and that's what I watch. So Child's Play, I put it on. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to go make dinner, and I go into the kitchen, and I pull out some burgers, and I'm starting to make them, and I could just feel in the back room where the back door is and stuff. I could just feel like somebody was like right behind me, like breathing on my neck almost. And I was just like, I remember going stiffening up, and I finished getting the burgers ready. And I put them, because they were like the microwavable kind, I went, put it in the microwave, and I remember like just straight walking, like as stiff as a board, straight walking into the living room, sat down on the couch, and I just sat there, pulled the blanket up over myself, and I'm just like, and when the microwave went off, I remember being like, gotta work myself up. I got up, went in there, got it, and I'm looking around. I looked around instead of just keeping my back. I looked around, and once I looked around, I felt better. Like I didn't feel anybody there anymore. It's like almost like if you looked at it, it went away. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was just like, nothing. We're good. Went back, ate my food, but I left the TV on all night. I can tell you that. I found something fun to watch and just... but that wasn't scary enough for me, you see, because then Derek was home from college. And so he stayed quite a few nights with me one of the times. And one of the nights we decided to watch The fucking Exorcist. I rented it. It wasn't like I stumbled upon it on TV. I went to the video store, rented The Exorcist, okay, and then put it in to watch. And Derek wasn't going to stay that night. He was going to hang out for a little bit. We watched The Exorcist, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, how do you feel about staying? The night?" He was like, "Don't blame you," because it was creepy there, wasn't it, Derek?
Mm-hmm.
Like during the day with everybody there, and even at night with everybody there, like the house full, wasn't scary at all. I lived there practically. I was there every night. But when it's just us in the house, it was creepy, right, Derek?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I would agree with that.
Like,
and I didn't have all of the experiences you did. I was there with you.
Yeah.
But no, you've always had like a,
Yeah, I had a respect.
Weird vibe with that. Yeah.
Respect for the house. You know what I mean? Like I'm not a ghost believer, but I always have respect for it. Like there's something about this house that feels spooky. So I'm gonna, and the stories that I heard, the energy, the stories I heard, because some backstory, their family owned that house prior. The grandmother owned it, and the grandpa was like a mean drunk. That he would just be mean and stuff. One night, she basically kicked him out of the house. He went and got drunk and tried to come home and passed out and died in the front yard, froze to death in the front yard.
Oh
right?
My gosh.
Wow.
Then the guy upstairs, the person upstairs, did what they did, ended their lives in the back room. So that's already two things. The upstairs used to be, and they used to have it separated as an apartment. So downstairs was Lori and Greg's house. That was Justin's house. We had the whole downstairs. And then upstairs was kind of cut off. It had like a separate entrance. And there was two guys that lived 2 different apartments upstairs. Gary and Bob, both like separate. And Gary would talk about how like dishes would like fly around. His bed would shake in his room, and he'd like have to yell at us to knock it off. Stuff like that. So when they got evicted and we went and cleaned out everything, it was gross in there. But that back room was what ended up being Justin's room. And I remember before it was Justin's room, we were sitting back there, and I remember watching spooky videos and being like, I could just feel the vibe in that room. You know what I mean? Eek.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's part of the backstory. The other one is Justin's oldest son. He was talking about. He was saying that there was a bad guy outside. Bad guy outside, Gamma, is what he was telling Lori. Bad guy outside. She's like, there's nobody outside. He's like, yeah, huh? With big eyes. Bad guy outside, Gamma. Like, honey, there's no bad guy outside. And she goes, uh-huh. Gamma Aggie, which was the grandmother's name that died in the house. So it's like he saw her and she told him about that bad guy outside, which would be her husband.
Wow.
Look at that.
Yikes.
Look at that. Eek. So, needless to say, it was always spooky there when you're by yourself. So I never went upstairs, and I did go down to the basement, though. I was never afraid to go down to the basement, even when I was 2 o'clock in the morning by myself. Because, like, that felt like a safe space to us. I think, because they told stories about the drums playing and stuff before we set everything up and before we jammed in there. And it had, like, an energy, you know? But then, in my personal theory, what happened was there were ghosts down there, and they would, you know, play around or whatever, their spooky stuff. And then we went down there, and we played hard rock and metal music very loudly. And they're like, we got to fucking find a new place to inhabit. We can't do this. And they fled into another room. Because, I mean, I would go down there by myself and not feel, like, spooked. And I'd just be playing my guitar, you know, just riffing, writing songs, then go back upstairs. And then once I got up to the first levels, when I was like, look around.
Yeah. Dang, that reminds me of my best friend's house.
Oh, yeah?
Like his parents' house. Like, they moved into this house that was kind of like, the upstairs was, like, unfinished. Like, they were like, oh, we'll get to it later, you know, we'll finish it, whatever. They had plenty of rooms downstairs for everybody, so... And it was like, and it kind of a ghost town. And like, it was weird. Like it had been like abandoned. Literally, there were like so many empty houses there. It was so strange. And the
tall
weird
man
stuff. Yeah.
The tall man had come through.
Yeah. Weird stuff started happening in there. Like really weird. Like him doing the dishes, and like somebody would be like running behind him, and like one time he heard a growl. Like a straight up growl. He said he took off out of there, and he contacted a psychic once who like told him about stuff that was in the house that was weird. Like,
I'm sure they did.
Describing stuff that was like, okay. And so she said that there was a smell of death in the closet, in one of the closets. And he was like, yeah, it always smelled like a weird smell like coming from this closet. And it was in his bedroom, and his closet did not have a door on it. It was just open because it had just been like drywalled and nobody put a door up.
It probably was Derek.
It probably was. Now that I think about it.
He probably needed a place to fart and just stuck his ass right in that closet.
Dude, it was so freaky. Like, so this house, I spent like more time in this haunted house than like probably any other, so I was like pretty convinced. Because one night we heard walking, like in the upstairs, like boots walking, and I've heard this before. And sometimes you're like, oh, that could be pipes, that could be something. This was something straight up walking across the upstairs, and we just sat there in the dark in his bedroom, pitch black, and we're just like both staring, like, do you hear that? Oh my god, listen. what is that? We're freaking out, and then we hear something in his closet move, and we both jump up and we flip the lights on. And we were like, hell no.
Yeah, nope.
Creepy stuff. And like you said, his sister had a son who was at that age where he was just learning how to talk, and the stairs, he would go and look up the stairs to the upstairs that was unfinished. Nobody was up there. It was dirty, messy. And he would say, monster. And just look up there and point and say, monster.
Ugh. Kids are fucking creepy, aren't they?
It was insane, dude. There were so many experiences in that house. Like, it was so weird.
Kids are creepy. That's the moral of this story.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And houses can be creepy as well. So basically, dear viewer, what we're telling you, dear listener, is do not go in house set for haunted houses, especially if you don't know they're haunted. I mean, you wouldn't know, I guess, but if you do know they're haunted, be extra careful. And if you see somebody advertising a babysitter job on a billboard with pull tabs, don't go. Don't do it. It's not worth the life of you or your magnificently beautiful best friend. That'll do it for this week on Screen Bloody Movies. We got some big news. We casting away. We cast another actor tonight, actually, right before we got on here. We have the finished scene. You will have a link to it right down here. So we are, so you can see it, view it, donate, and help us make this movie. It's gorgeous, guys. We're beyond happy with the result. So we can't wait for you to see it. Let us know what you think. And then for next week, we will be watching The Others starring Nicole Kidman. And until then, for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.